Okay guys, this video is going to be on F7. On F7. Okay, F7 is basically a combination of F5, F6 and F4. Okay, so they'll say something like solve and then give you a question such as, and I'm going to break this off into two parts as usual, solve, and then it might say 7x squared plus 1 equals 8x. So straight away you look at that and you say to yourself, well, I know it's a quadratic, it's got x squared there, so therefore I'm going to solve it by making this quadratic equal 0. Now for it to equal 0, I need to get rid of the 8x on this side. So I would minus 8x minus 8x. Now the way I want to lay this out here is obviously having the x squared here, the x here, and the number by itself there. So I've got 7x squared minus 8x plus 1, and that equals 0, because 8x minus 8x is 0. From here, now, we should know what to do, based on our work on F6 and F5. So here I then go A, B, C. AC, 7 times 1 is 7. And then two numbers that multiply to get 7 but add to get negative 8 would be negative 7 and negative 1. Alright, because they multiply to get 7, add to get negative 8. So therefore, just like in the last video, the A will stay down here, the C will stay down here. The only one that's going to change is the B part here, which we're going to now write minus 7x, then minus, and I'm going to put 1x or x, doesn't matter. And then we should know as well, I now want to factorize these separately. So the left hand side would become 7x bracket x minus 1. And that will become minus 1 because I need to factorize that. Positive x, and then also that would be negative 1, because negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. We know we're right here because the two brackets are the same, which is perfect. So one of our answers for the bracket part is going to be x minus 1. The second one would be 7x minus 1, because they're the two on the outside of the bracket. Remember, that still equals 0. So our last step now is just simply to solve it. X minus 1 equals 0. 7x minus 1 equals 0. So I would add 1, x equals 1. Add 1 here, add 1. 7x equals 1, divide by 7, x equals 1 over 7. Final answer. So that's how you do that first one. I'll quickly go through a second example, and then you can head off to doing it yourself. So solve 4x minus 7 over 2x plus 1 equals x plus 7. Right, here we've got a couple steps to do before we can factorize anything. Firstly, I don't like it when I've got a fraction here. I need to get rid of the fraction to make them all on the same line. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply by 2x plus 1, multiply by 2x plus 1. So I've got 4x minus 7 here. This obviously is just expanding brackets. So 2x, I might actually separately work it out here. So I've got x plus 7 and 2x plus 1. So it'd be 2x squared plus 14x plus x plus 7, which becomes 2x squared. Then I add these two together, so it'd be 15x, and then add 7. Okay, now I look at that and say to myself, well, I need it to equal 0 if I want to solve it, because it's a quadratic. I can put all of that on that side to equal 0, or I could put this on that side to equal 0 here, because as long as it equals 0 one side, doesn't matter. So therefore, I could add 7 first, so 4x equals 2x squared plus 15x plus 14. And then I would minus 4x, so it'd be 0 equals 2x squared plus 11x plus 14. So now I've put it in a situation where I can now solve it. A, B, C. A, C equals 28. Two numbers that multiply to get 28 and add to get 11 would be 7 and 4. 7 and 4. I'm pretty sure that works quite well. So therefore, I'd go 2x squared. The A stays the same. The C stays the same. The B will change from 11 to 7x and 4x. So add 7x, add 4x. I then want to factorize it. I'm writing smaller so I can fit on the page. So it'll be x bracket 2x plus 7. And then here, 2 comes out of that. So it'll be plus 2 and then 2x plus 7. Because 2 times 7 is 14. This looks nice. We like the idea of this because the 2x plus 7 and 2x plus 7 are both in the brackets, which is what we wanted. So it'll be 2x plus 7. And then outside of the bracket is x plus 2. So x plus 2, we know that equals 0. So now my final step here, I'm going to try and fit it on there and there, I think, is to equal that to 0. So 2x plus 7 equals 0. Be minus 7, 2x equals negative 7. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X would be negative 7 over 2. Just missed that on the thing, but hopefully if I push it up a tiny bit you can see it. And then x plus 2 equals 0 would be minus 2, x equals negative 2. So there'd be my two answers. So hopefully you can look through this video and it'll make a bit of sense.